Hello, amazing, beautiful beings. This is Milena. Last week was my birthday, and I wanted to take a second to thank you for all the amazing wishes, the flowers, the presents, your presence in my life. But most of all, for being interested in things like that, for doing the inner work and raising your vibration, and by virtue of doing that, contributing to the raising of the vibration of the collective and the transformation that we're now going through. Although this is happening, very often many of us feel things like, I feel unhappy, I'm overwhelmed, I'm frustrated, what is the point? Things seem to be going in a negative direction. I don't even want to be here. Sometimes these are the thoughts that we get. But today I wanted to draw the attention and amplify something that we often underestimate the effects of. And it literally is our mental, emotional, energetic, and physical diet. What we allow to enter our system and interact with it. Let's look at some concrete things that do have a huge effect on the chemistry of our physical body and how we feel. And yes, the first thing is the food that we take in. Everybody talks about healthy food and what we ingest, and we try to be healthy. But when we start falling into these states, very often we start reaching out to comfort foods, to more coffee for the release of more dopamine, and alcohol to sort of relax us and give us a lighter mood or whatever, and the ice cream and the processed stuff and the sugars. I'm not gonna lie, I have not given up coffee yet, but every single time I ingest a lot of it, although it's organic, I start sensing and noticing that I'm a lot more irritable, that I get angrier, that it's easier for me to get triggered and go into a reaction instead of a response. Alcohol, I don't even want to go into it. Many of us find it hard to give it up, and we say, but it really helps me relax. I like the taste. There's a social aspect of it. Alcohol always lowers our frequency. The likelihood of us having more negative interactions and feeling worse are much higher because it interferes with the chemistry of our body. It never makes it healthier. It never makes it more energized or feel good. It just creates the temporary illusion of numbness where we don't feel the things that we don't want to feel. And that's why we think this makes things easier for us. But in the long run, we pay a much, much heftier price for it. That's something to be aware of and make our own choice. Outside of drink and food though, everything that we expose ourselves to in terms of information can have a huge effect. I was watching a TV series that I decided to binge watch for a while, and I started noticing how I felt after it. It was kind of depressing. I felt a little anxious and overwhelmed. I thought that the series was entertaining, but at the end of the day, subconsciously, it was creating a picture of the world, of reality, that were very, very negative. And that subconsciously creates the feeling that that's how things are. And that, of course, can and is depressing. Of course, we don't think this is real. Of course, we know it's a movie. But then we start recognizing that we feel a lot more depressed than we did without watching something like that. Do we watch the news? And it's so funny because I used to work in news and I studied journalism and I was all about news and being informed. But nowadays what we get in news is a lot of negative information that again portrays a picture of reality in the world that only does a disservice. Exclude it from your system and see what difference it makes. The interactions with others are a huge part that does affect the chemistry of our physicality, our body, our mental, emotional state. Almost everybody now is exuding, projecting a lot more powerfully than they did before. And if they're fearful, if they're panicking, if they're negative, if they like to complain, if they would like to engage you in some sort of bad-mouthing somebody or being righteous and bitter about the state of the world or the state of anything, that will have an effect on you. And really, if our commitment stays to keeping a clean diet in that sense, what we allow to enter our system, we would feel much better, we would be a lot more capable, and we would be moving through that transitional period a lot more easily and smoothly, which is what we ultimately want. Now, the last thing that we might not give a lot of attention to is all the electromagnetic frequencies, waves, and impulses that we are subjected to, that our system is subjected to. Every single cell in the body has an electromagnetic field, and it has a huge effect on us when we are exposed to all of these waves, 5G, Wi-Fi, microwaves, you name it. Right now, nowadays, there's so much of it, more than it ever has been before. And very often, the mere reason why we feel the way that we feel depressed or anxious or overwhelmed, is because we've been exposed to too much interference. And we're starting to think, oh my God, what is going on? Why do I feel that way? It doesn't make sense. It's not very logical. But if we remove ourselves from that, if we go somewhere in nature, dip ourselves in the ocean and salty water, if we use all kinds of EMF protection and rocks and orgonite pyramids that I have in every bedroom, for example, all of those things can and will help. So when we start feeling unhappy, anxious, miserable, feeling like, what's the point? This doesn't make any sense. Look at all the things that you are showering yourself with, allowing into your system, and see if any of them are toxic. And when you recognize where you might be allowing too much toxicity in your system, start tweaking things and at least start controlling it a lot more consciously. Of course, we can sage, do meditation, and all of those things help us become aware and make it easier to track where the interference is. What are the things that we can tweak in order to make immediate improvements in our system and feel better. And if you need some help and assistance figuring out where those things are for you or how you can clear them from your system, book a session at askmilena.com. Remember to subscribe to my newsletter for some information that I don't share anywhere else, and click on the bell if you have not done so below so that you can subscribe to the channel and get notified of all future videos. They come out on Friday. I'll see you next week, guys. Bye bye.